What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Madden 15 video. Please do me a favor, take a moment, hit the like button for me, subscribe to my channel, as well as leave your criticism in the comment section. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Madden 15 video. Please do me a favor, take a moment, hit the like button for me, subscribe to my channel if you aren't already. Criticism in the comment section. As always, follow me on Twitter. My username is ShutdownSafety. For those of you who don't know, I have not went to E3 yet, but I am planning to go next year. Obviously had some schedule conflictions with some ARCA races. I just came back from Pocono. I'll be headed out to Michigan at the end of the week. But Madden NFL 15 had a presentation release at E3 today that spoke to their graphics, gameplay, and presentation. So I wanted to review those with you, and I think it's very important to note here what you're seeing on the screen is in fact Madden 25 release photos from EA, which up for debate, but to me are not reflective of what I saw in my game. So first thing we'll talk about is the graphics. They've improved the lighting, which hopefully is now going to be sequential through all the quarters. You're going to have everything fully reflective now, so hopefully that also means that your jerseys, your pants, your helmets, your cleats are all going to have a different reflective quality. That's going to help create a more realistic, more detailed environment in terms of the lighting and shading. The grass, which everyone has joked about by now, the infinite grass technology that's used. I don't even want to discuss why they continue to use those words, but essentially what we've been told is the grass prior was a static, motionless item. Now it's going to be compressed and sway, not just a texture. The detail, they did talk a little bit about Colin Kaepernick's tattoos, but, you know, they also talked a little bit about facial scanning. We'll see how improved that is. Now, to me, what was most important, not really so much to just where the game is going, but to get past and get ahead of 2K5, was the presentation. And there's two things I really like that they did. Number one, they went out and brought former NFL Films senior cinematographer Brian Murray in, and then they also brought in a local talent with a sports director, Larry Ridley, to kind of overhaul, or at least what they say is overhaul the entire presentation of the game. This goes back to having the cutscenes, they say, removed, which is going to now be done with transitions through on-the-field cameras, which is going to kind of have that emotion going from play to play, players walking off to the sidelines organically. So that's going to help with the repetitiveness, as long as what we're seeing and being told here is true. The broadcast elements, apparently they had a lot of audio recut, particularly with Jim Nantz. The word and terminology here was 80 hours. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what we were told. And they've also had a heavy emphasis on the broadcast banners, keeping those things fresh. The Jumbotrons are not going to have those static, lose, lose, lose messages or interception or fumble. Supposedly there's going to be 20 events now that will be shown on that. They can include, get loud, be quiet, and then also you'll have them a little bit less refined to the home team colors when you go to a Pro Bowl or a Super Bowl. They also have a player spotlight montage, which apparently is going to show some pass game, possibly highlights of other players when they come in. It actually referenced, a big run from Colin Kaepernick or RG3. It said you may see a montage of some of their biggest runs. Again, like we talked about with the commentary improvement, it's 80 hours is what we've been told between Jim Nantz and Phil Simms. A lot of the recording, they said, was primarily on player names, so that Jim and Phil will have some of those available in the play, and that also Jim re-recorded much of his mid-play commentary so that it's a little bit more comfortable, probably so we don't have those breaks that we used to have where everything really just seemed jagged. The pre- and halftime shows are all new intro sequences before games that talk about specific matchups, other tidbits to keep an eye on, and then the halftime show will include broadcast-style graphics as well as a fantasy ticker. So also Larry Ridley apparently has done some of the audio work that will go in to these highlight shows. The play calling, really not too much from what we've seen in the past. It looks like they've gotten rid of the Ask Madden feature and have that new, community-based calling. Apparently the AI is going to be improved a little bit when we go into the Player Sense 2.0 now. The zone coverages are going to have more of an impact. Defenders are going to know and react to throws more accurately. These are, things to me, when we start talking about this, it's ironic because for so long we've been told that, this wasn't a problem in the game, that it was our problems as gamers. Yet when we look at what's improved in the game, it basically is a laundry list of things people have made videos on. So it's almost like you can't have it both ways. You can't sit here and tell me that you're making these improvements for zone defenders in the flats or smarter principles and head tracking, better interactions between defensive backs and wide receivers, as well as better pursuit and tackling. And that's all what they stated today. But then also come back and act like, videos we make in the community aren't relevant because they're not problems in the game. Regardless, it also is finally going to give us the ability to distinguish defenses. I don't know exactly what that means, if that's kind of like a show blitz like we have now, but then you'll also have the ability to pull that coverage back and play a different style. The Real AI 2.0 is, again, going to talk about making better decisions from the CPU. Players are going to have a better understanding of passing concepts, read defenders before they make the throws. They'll also be able to audible in and out of hot routes. One thing that I didn't like reading about is they're going to have the ability to fake snap, which, to me, could get a little bit buggy if the game is going to do that at very inopportune times. Speaking in that, the War of the Trenches 2.0 is going to have a new power rush where you're able to kind of get off the line a little bit early, and it's going to have, obviously, that deterrent of you can get called off sides. You're also going to have, and they used a lot of specific players when they talk about this, a new trigger system that allows you to access some special pass rush moves, whether it's power rush like Julius Peppers or Chris Long, a finesse like a Cameron Wake or Brian Arakpo, or the speed rush like a Robert Quinn, Mathis, Von Miller. And then also they are going to have ways now of disengaging and containing where you can actually go back and have players disengage off and pursue forward to the quarterback. The catch variety and pass and accuracy is something that is interesting, but obviously needs to be done. But again, the concern is how much are we going to see this? How bad are these going to be when they're bad? That's the problem. It's all comes back to consistency with a lot of this. So what they're talking about with the throwing rating and the throwing accuracy is that it's going to have more of an impact than ever before. Your inaccurate passes are going to be determined by things that we'll talk about pressure or mobility. And good is going to be good, perfect is going to be perfect, and then you're going to have, quote, very inaccurate. To me, that just screams when you need that one good completion, it's going to say there's pressure, you're going to throw this duck in the air. And, there's a fine line between realistic and the game cheating you, and with all these improvements, that ultimately is what remains to be seen. So they talk about, when you're building an offense now, you're going to have to look into those accuracy ratings with the short, the mid, the deep, and hopefully you're going to have the ability to be more effective with players like Phillip Rivers or Drew Brees, rather, and maybe less effective with, Geno Smith and Eli Manning. Those are players they named for transparency there. And then also they do talk about a catch variety. So players are now going to see both wide receivers and defensive backs go for inaccurate passes. They talk about it going for a curl route. You'll be able to see a receiver leap underneath in order to catch it. And then obviously there's going to be a, quote, variety of animations for both wideouts and receivers to be sure they target the ball. So again, a lot of information there, but a lot of really justification for the videos that the community has made and improvements we desperately need and hope to see completed. In terms of 2K coming back, I know I saved that for the end of the video, but hopefully I'll have some exclusive information in the form of an interview coming in a few days. More information about that when I can speak on it. I know this is a long video, so I appreciate you guys sticking through it. Love to hear your criticism. Read it in the comment section, and I will be back in the week with more content.